I can't be at any meetings, or if something comes up.
I'll take vice chair. Steve,
who is that?
This is Steve.
All right, I will motion to appoint Steve Wicklund as the vice chair.
Thank you, Joe. Any second?
I'll second that.
All right, Richard. All right, so Joe made the motion. Richard seconded the motion. Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you.
And while you're at it, can you guys do a recording secretary so somebody can record the minutes if we're not there? Somebody needs to record the minutes.
All right, so at that case, I'll hear any motion who anyone would like to be the secretary / clerk for the committee. We all can definitely, it's a huge task, taking the notes of our meetings. So we can all definitely collaborate with it, but there has to be someone with that title. I'll hear any motions.
I already got that order on FICON, so I'm gonna hold off.
All right. Let me see.
I've got a pretty full calendar right now, so.
True, you do, Marty. You do.
Oh, what do you got going on, Marty? Come on.
I'll help out on that.
All right, thank you, Richard.
I will nominate Richard Smith to be the secretary / awesome clerk person for writing the notes down.
All right, beautiful.
I'll second that.
Awesome. See. Marty made the motion. And who made the second?
Joe?
All right, Joe. Thank you, Joe. All right, cool. Thank you. Congratulations, Richard. All right. Awesome. Next on to our agenda item, discuss role and purpose of the capital committee. Number 1, discuss proposed 5-year capital project and equipment plan. I think on your screen, can everybody see this is what Sue sent us. So this is the 5-year plan for Abington, the capital. Sue, did you want to elaborate on this? Or Sonia?
So basically, this is just what the departments sent to us with their request. You got the plan a couple weeks ago, but it did not have the golf and the school department on there. School department gave me their information all in one year, but they said if anything, the most important thing for them right now would be the painting of and de-leading of the Furleo School, and they can put the other stuff into other years.
I believe they had that one on last year, didn't they? Sue, didn't we cut that?
Yes, it's been there.
Yeah.
So Alex, do we need to do the first part of the agenda though, where just to kind of define the role and purpose? I know Scott sent us a draft from from Duxbury. I mean, it looks pretty good to me, but do we need to kind of agree on that first?
I would assume so. I'd like that. All right, let me see if I can stop the share. Actually, has everyone had a chance to look at the example from Duxbury? If not,
Yes.
I can pull that up.
Yeah, I think Chris is kind of at a
No, I have
disadvantage
not.
because
Yeah, oh, this is true.
I did, I know, Chris, I just sent it to you.
Yeah, I got it. I
Okay.
saw Marty did
Not-
too, I think so, but
Okay, good. Yeah, I know, it's not much.
I don't know
time.
how to get to my email on this computer while still looking at Alex's screen. Like, I don't know.
Chris, hit escape and then go to your email browser like you normally would. and
Okay, thanks.
screen.
And so I guess, and I apologize because I wasn't at the last meeting, but what this Duxbury document shows is, to me, is pretty clear. It makes sense. But so is the role, I guess stated differently, is the purpose of this committee to review the capital plan, ask questions, and then make recommendations that then go to the finance committee?
Yeah, so the way I would envision this and the way that they did it is, yeah, so this group, and really what you'll get from us is at this point you have a wish list. And then, so you need to sort of prioritize that. And by, doing that, you may have to meet with the different departments or department heads and just ask, what is this? Why does it have to be done now? Is this a good price? Did you actually get legit cost estimate on this? Is it a written estimate? And then you you sort of need to know what we have for, once you prioritize what's super important, then you need to know what we actually have for spending ability, whether it's out of free cash or if it's something worth borrowing, whether we want to borrow or not. And then, yeah, at the end of the day, you'll put together a plan. You'll say, this is what all I think we can do this year. And you'll make that recommendation as sort of a package that will go to the finance committee and to the selectmen.
Mhm. And
To
so,
follow-
go ahead.
I was going to say, to follow up on that then. So this is prepared each year by Sue or Scott then, and given to us. We're not going out looking for items. A list will be given to us.
Yeah, so when we put out our budget memo, we're going to say to the department heads, hey, it's budget time of year and you have up until such and such a date to get in whatever your capital, if you have a new capital request, let us know what it is now. Review your 5-year capital plan and update it if you have anything that isn't on there that has to be on there. If something came up that we don't know about, let us know. Piece of equipment that broke that has to be replaced that we
Yep.
weren't expecting. Things like that. So it's going to be up to the department head to give us this information. You're not going out hitting the streets trying to find out what everybody needs. They're going to come to, that's their job. They know what their needs are better than anybody. So they're going to come to us and tell us.
Mhm.
It's up to us to sort of prioritize it, because as the town, the finance committee and myself and, the finance department and the selectmen, we have to make that recommendation to town meeting. And there's only so much money we can spend in any given year.
Right. So would the second step to be to find out about how much money? First, like if we talk to each group and then basically they're already going to be prioritized, but without knowing how much money we have, I don't know. It just makes sense to me. It sounds like we should know before we start talking to anybody.
Yeah, and then the other part too, I'm trying to reconcile as far as where this committee plugs in, Scott, is, so the finance committee just met with the police department. We talked about 3 vehicles, we talked about computers, but if this committee was already in place, would we had already talked about that with the police department prioritized prior to getting to finance committee?
Yeah,
Like,
it would
how
have
does-
been nice to know that. Would have been nice, like, if they had said 3 years ago or 2 years ago that,
Mhm.
what we have aging computers and we're going to have to consider overhauling. And they can't always just do one because they have to be compatible. So sometimes it's like a massive overhaul. So it's an expensive ticket item. So it's probably a capital item.
Mhm.
We know that the vehicles, we know the cruisers are going to be there every year, it's 3 one year and 2 the other, I believe. So that's sort of a given. But again, that should be something that's in this plan, unless we want to put it in their operating. But
It didn't sound like the computers were that big of a deal the other day, just in theory. And I think I think that we have to start coming up with requirements. I think that's one of the bigger things that we can take out of this and say to everybody, you need 3 bids, on brand new things, and you need to start looking at some other stuff too. There are plenty of websites out there that have some used stuff. And I don't mean like 10 years old, but 1 or 2 years old. We can come up with somewhat of requirements. My point in this, I don't know if everybody knows me from the finance committee, but I say to the majority of people that come in front of us, I want to give them every single thing they're asking for. I just want to pay less for it. And I think that should be the mindset no matter what. And I don't even mean it's used. Like, are people negotiating on the price, or do they just get 3 bids and they just call it a day? Which, again, I know that's somewhat of the thing because, they don't sit there and get paid to negotiate, but maybe somebody needs to start doing that.
Can I ask a question as well while we're talking about something like that? So I see DPW has a laundry list on here. Is that in the order of their preference? So like is their number one thing, the bucket truck, and their last thing that they want is the Hunts Pond Dam for 2022?
And that's why you would meet with the department head. And that's the questions you would ask them and say, look, we only have X amount of money and we've got, not only do we have DPW looking for something, but obviously we have schools, this, that. We have several other people looking for something. How can you tell us what's most imminent in your department? And then it's up to this, this group will ultimately have to make that recommendation on what is more important. Is it more important that they replace, a bucket truck over at DPW or, a front end loader at Park and Rec or, new SCBA apparatus at the fire station? Whatever it is, there are things that, we can't give everybody everything. So
And we're
that's
going
why I
to
said it's up to you to ask them, what's your priority? And then it's up to us to sort of make, or this group to make that ultimate decision that, look, we're just gonna have to put some of this off till next year. And that's gonna move everything around within this.
There's a general guidelines for prioritizing these things, and that's going to be our guidance document moving forward for what we think is a higher priority than what they think is a higher priority. Am I assuming that correctly?
Yes. And so to Steve's point about the funding, if you look at the Hunts Pond Dam, it's a 25% match to a grant. So is that like, okay, so do we want to do that grant and we're only paying 25% of that right now because we can get a grant? Golf, I believe, also has where we're looking at a Green Communities grant. So he has it on there that they want their HVAC system fixed, but we could possibly get a grant. So when you're talking about funding, we have free cash, we have borrowing, and we have potential of getting grants. So those are other things that you want to ask those questions of how are you going to fund these objects? It's not always going to be through free cash or the general levy. Is there some way, some other way, as you're talking to these department heads, that you have a grant opportunity or something that can help us get the funding source, just like the fire chief just got recently for the brush truck. I think it was a brush truck at the fall town meeting, and he had to put up 10%.
And then Sue, with the golf course, would these things come out of the enterprise fund, or is it something different?
For the most part, they would come out of the enterprise fund, but when I'm talking about the HVAC system, we're up for another Green Communities grant, and we're looking to get another Green Communities hybrid between the HVAC system at the golf course and at the senior center to possibly, and that's the senior center is not on there because at the time I wasn't even thinking about grant stuff, but again, that's something that you guys would look at. So for the Council on Aging, we're going to add, and eventually I'm going to show you that the senior center HVAC system needs to be upgraded as well, but the funding might be through a grant. So as long as you guys know that this is a capital project and we might get funding for it, and you can just say, yeah, we're going to approve it because we got funding for it.
And so Scott, and I apologize, I know I already asked it once, but it's just not, it didn't click with me. So normally before this committee was formed, these things would come up to the finance committee. We would talk about them. We would ask all the questions. So I already know we started the budget process. So, but would this, like, let's just take next year, right? This committee is established, it's running on all cylinders and running well. Would this activity that we do normally take place before these departments even go to the finance committee?
No, it's pretty much at the same time. It's all
Okay.
going to be at the same time because that's when we're going to ask them. The difference is they're going to be updating a plan that you already vetted and looked at and sort of prioritized. So next year, you're going to say, there's no surprises because you already know, what was priorities, you'll know what's prioritized that we didn't do this year that gets carried over. And you'll know what they were hoping to do next year that they said, hey, we don't need it this year, but we're going to need it next year. So it just gives us a little more forecasting. And if they keep it up and we get disciplined at it, gives you a real nice 5-year picture.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
It really is a, I really expect, this year to probably be a little clunky and confusing, but
Yeah.
it once it's sort of established and you've got a routine and you know, the department heads get used to it because they're going to hate it more than anybody because it's, you know, it's another
Yeah.
meeting they got to go to or answer to or whatever. But
Yeah.
it just, it is a great tool. And I think Sonia can attest to this too, is that, you know, having these tools and these policies and spending the time for this kind of financial management goes a long way when we go out to bond and meet with the bonding companies and try and get a good bond rating.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Not only having a solid plan and knowing that we've got a whole group that's looking at this and there's a strategy to it. They like to see that way beyond just having something on a spreadsheet. They like knowing that there's something behind it and there are reasons for why we have something on there versus not, and that we are actually planning ahead for things. And then it helps as well when I'm trying to decide when to go out for a bond issue. I know that what I'm seeing on the capital plan is good, that I can kind of look forward and say, okay, we've got a really big item coming up next year, so I'll wait until next year to do my bond issue so I can do it all together. And knowing that I can trust that document to help me make my decisions is really helpful too, and that helps us get the best rate possible as well.
So Alex, so should we, I'm just trying to think, right? Because like we'd want to talk to these departments
Correct.
before we can, before we can kind of cogitate and talk about what we feel about these items. So we probably, I don't mean to speak out of turn, but we probably can't decide things on the capital budget right now. So I'm wondering, should we try to get through the, that document, the capital planning policy, see if we want to change anything about it, and if we don't, then just change, Duxbury to Abington, and then move forward.
Yeah, so Scott and I spoke about this on Friday a little bit. Yeah, no, I'm on the same page with you, Joe. I think before we make any big decisions with our capital plan, that we want to make sure we do have a policy in place. I did send a couple of links last week. A couple, I forget, I sent like a few towns, Stoughton, Easton, and the plan for from the Duxbury that Scott and I were going over, I think is something we can definitely work on, and something work off of. It's always good to get some ideas from other municipalities and stuff like that. I know we do that at the Board of Health too. No, I think, yeah, just a few things that we'd probably have, definitely have to change. Dates in the policy, and then, of course, the names as well. Scott and Sue and Sonia, what do you think we can do about going about that?
So I'll take care of that this week. I did reach out to see if I can get the Word version of it. And I'm sure I will, somebody will dig it up and they'll get it to me this week. And I'll want to sit with Sonia and Sue to review it, because just to make sure, everything jives in there as far as dates and some of the policies as far as, debt service and obligations like that are mentioned in here. But other than that, yeah, I can certainly, by the next time you meet, have a Word version of it all cleaned up and, obviously referring to Abington and to a capital planning committee. Unless you guys want to be called a fiscal advisory committee. I mean, I'll call you whatever you want.
No, I like the original term. I mean, it kind of separates us from the finance committee. But yeah, I go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying, and the other suggestion that I may have for you, and we had sort of talked about this real briefly when I asked, with the finance committee, that you typically have liaisons. And it may not be a bad thing if you guys, not so much that you have to be liaisons, that maybe you break it up and say, look, one of you can reach out to John Stone, one of you can reach out to Chief Medall, one of you can reach out to the Deputy Chief Cutter. or whoever, you know, just to kind of go down the list. So you can sort of get a quick briefing from them, understanding what's going on, let them know what your concerns are, what any thoughts are of the group, and then figure out when you can get them on a schedule to come in and address everything with the group. Now you can have, you know, there's no reason you wouldn't have 2 or 3 of them on in one night anyways. We're not looking at reviewing their whole budget and everything. You're just specifically looking at their capital items.
Yeah, if you want, Alex, I can send you the liaison listing we have for the finance committee. That way you can at least have the contacts if you don't already have them. You know, I mean, I'm not sure if we assign liaisons for this particular fiscal period, but maybe just coordinate and try to get them in here. You know, like Scott said, it's just the capital plan, so the content is less. It's not a line by line budget, and if we schedule 2 or 3 a week, we could probably get through this, you know, relatively quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you can send me that, that'd be great.
Okay.
Speaking of just the schedule, it's February 1st now. What's our end date, and give me a couple of key dates that we have to come up with. And maybe it's already somewhere, but
yeah, no, I haven't actually. So I'm going to the selectmen to ask to open the warrant. I think next Monday night I'll ask to open it, and we'll close it sometime end of, I think. So did we discuss end of March? I think was the date I came up with.
It was either the last week of March or the first week of April, right in that
Yeah.
range.
So whatever the last selectmen meeting was in March, I believe we were going to ask to close it then. So we would kind of want to have pretty much the heavy lifting done and most of this done by then. And that way, you know, we would be, you know, through that month of April, you know, those first couple weeks in April, doing a sort of a final review and everybody voting on the final warrant and the budget and stuff. The idea was that we're planning I think the May town meeting right now. Obviously, we don't know what that will look like in as far as you know, inside, outside, how many people, how we're going to do it. It's anybody's guess at what numbers will be allowed. It may get like happened last year, and it may just keep getting pushed off till sometime in June, maybe later, who knows. But you know, that's our current plan. We need to shoot for something and try and get this all wrapped up, obviously, by June.
okay. So, but what I'm hearing for this committee, then by the end of March, beginning of April, we should have met with the representatives, made our recommendations on the plan.
Yeah, I think, you know, bulk of your work you want to get out of the way by the first week in April. I mean, first week in March, really. You want to have met with everybody and, you know, and I think that's going to be typical. I think going forward, you're going to make your recommendations probably earlier than, because again, you're not looking at whole budgets. You'll be looking at capital only. You know, and a lot of it also depends. It's like, you know, some years right now, Sue will tell you that, you know, knowing what our free cash situation is a little difficult this year because of reimbursements with CARES Act money. So it kind of, you know, delays some stuff like that. So having it, and it isn't going to be a great year for free cash.
Yep.
You know, so that's going to make a big difference on what we're going to do too. And then are we going to want to, you know, on better years, are we going to want to have a reserve or capital reserve plan? And you know, we're going to put money towards that. So there's different things that we want to consider. Some years are just going to go quicker and better than others, I'm afraid.
Right. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Let's see. So let me see. So any further discussion on the role and purpose of the capital committee?
No, I mean, I guess just people that maybe the people that haven't had a chance to look it over, just kind of provide any feedback about it. I thought it looked pretty straightforward. So, I mean, if we
Good
can clean
first
it
year
up.
item, you know, for us to work with.
Yeah. And it's all a learning curve for everybody, you know, and stuff like that. So, no, thank you, Scott, for getting that over to us and stuff. Wonderful. So next, because we covered those two. Set next meeting schedule. Set next meeting schedule.
Alex, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure, Chris.
I guess it might even be Scott. How was this done, I guess, before now? Like, how was this, do you know how was this is a brand new committee, right? I mean, we're not replacing anybody as far as I'm aware of. So what was done in the past?
Sue will have to answer that because I wasn't here.
True.
So you can kind of explain whatever the process was that you guys were using.
So basically in the past, the just provide us with their capital request for the year. If we were going out for bonding, we would require them to give us a 5-year plan. It was never a continuous 5-year plan, unfortunately. And so we would try to weed out what was important and meet again, like what you guys are going to do is going to meet with the department heads and say, okay, if we can't do this year, can we put it off till next year? And it was more like a phone call and quick text message, and like you requested 3 items. Tell me what you can do without until next year, and it would get put off.
Was it you, Sue, or was it like the finance committee doing it?
No, it was me.
Okay.
And that's not unusual. I mean, every town has their own way. Not every town has a capital committee or a fiscal advisory committee. When in Whitman, we had a capital committee that just never met for years. Part of the policies was that they were supposed to meet and submit something by January. They never did. So it was also, it was a little more informal there. Like I said, some towns, every town has their own way of doing it. I personally, this is just my preference of doing it and codifying how we're going to do it. I'm more partial to this way. That's all.
No, that's okay. It was just more curious. I don't know if it was, I think I didn't get that. Like, I didn't know about the first meeting. So I didn't know if it was discussed then. I was just trying to catch up on anything I may have missed.
Yeah, we did. That did come up, of course, on the first meeting. So I'm just thinking out loud here. So this is not expediting anything by any means. As you said, the department heads aren't going to be thrilled with a new board they have to deliver to, but it is creating more checks and balances so that we have good documentation and a process in place so that year after year, the capital plan isn't like starting from scratch.
Plus it gives us a solid document that anybody, whether it's inside or outside the organization, it could be auditors or a lending company that we'll be dealing with, or a bonding company, that can look at it and say, we see that there's a plan in place. We know what's on our horizon. We know when we better start tightening our belt, or that we know that we've got some sound fiscal management policies in place.
And again, since no one else jumped in, I'll just ask another question then. I don't know everyone here. You had mentioned liaisons for different boards. Is everyone from like a different board in town? I mean, we all sit on boards already.
Yeah, I know.
I can answer that for you because I put the board together. So Tim is the Board of Selectmen. Greg and Joe are on the finance committee. You're on the golf committee, but basically you're really a member at large. Marty and Alex are with the Board of Health, but again, they're members at large. And Chris is on the school committee. I think I got everybody.
About Rich.
Rich.
Oh, Rich. And Rich is just he's on the fire department, but a member at large. So it's so there's different people. Sorry,
that's one of the reasons I asked. I do know Rich, and I know he's on the fire department. So when we talk about liaisons, would Rich be our fire liaison?
No, I would think that you would take him out of the fire department and give him something else.
Yeah, that'd be like putting Marty in charge of what toys the Board of Health.
We got a $1.4 million roof.
Right? So you can't be on that school department either.
Yeah, I get you.
But we did,
I'm happy to help and advise.
Yeah.
It was purposeful to try and get people that did have, sort of an understanding of different aspects of town government and what was going on. So that was intentional, and to have some, you know.
No, and,
general-
and Scott, when those 4 items even came up at our last meeting, because I knew this was coming, I kind of asked, and Sue, you mentioned it, and it's based on the fact that the cost too of 70,000 compared to the others, where the lead paint was the priority one, if based on
Yeah.
cost and what it involved. So
And I know Felicia's been asking for that roof at Woodsdale for a long time. So
it's more
basically, like, you know, you ask for it, but if you can't get it, you're gonna move it on to the next year. And
Right.
so hopefully at one point we can get all those current items up to date. And as they need new items, we add them to the next year.
no, makes sense.
And the nice part about it is, like Sue said too, is a lot of times we all of a sudden find out about a grant opportunity that's coming our way. And to have these things in our mind, whether, you know, say, damn it, I wish we could have got to that this year or next year. And then all of a sudden a grant opportunity appears. At least we have
Yep.
it, you know, it's queued up, it's ready, things are ready to go, and we're aware of it. We can move things forward more easily that way.
Okay.
Now, who is the person that would monitor for grants? Is that department by department?
They come up, yeah, everybody's sort of monitoring if it does come up, but I mean, I get them constantly through the state, they send them to me, but the
Mhm.
planning department, Liz has been pretty active lately, and then actually I've asked her to look in on different grant opportunities, just because
Wait.
there is no one who's sort of specifically assigned for it.
And we get a lot of stuff through Old Colony Planning Council that they work through me. So we're, you know, that's the green communities. We have a hazard mitigation grant that's coming. Hopefully we get approved for, which we should know in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, like Scott said, it's just different departments that know these are their needs and they know where to go look for these grants.
Okay. Yeah, because that brush truck one was like an amazing one. So I'm just making
And it
sure
just
that,
happened like that.
yeah, so I'm just making sure that we don't, you know, so we may not say we need it right now, but when you have an opportunity like that where 90% is covered, why not do it now instead of year 5?
Right.
Right.
It's the reason we get our new high school now.
Yeah,
The timing was right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what other kind of like small questions? So should we have a spot on the Abington website for this committee so we can add agendas and meeting
Yeah.
minutes?
I don't
Okay.
see why not. I think
Is
it's
that something
probably a
that
good idea.
should we reach out to someone to do that, or?
I'll reach out to Wayne. I'll talk to
Okay.
him, and
Okay.
I'll also probably ask him. So the link that everybody should now have for the meetings will be the same link, if I'm not mistaken. Same link that you'll always use, and I think we're doing that with Finance Committee, doing it with Selectmen. I'm not sure. I'm assuming the Board of Health is doing that now. So once you have that link, you might, you know, I think the Selectmen one I'm gonna put right on under Selectmen, and probably could do the same with this one. I don't think anybody's gonna, you know, it's for when you invite the department heads. I mean, maybe occasionally somebody will be curious and want to jump in on one of your meetings.
Mhm.
I don't know why.
It's exciting,
we
Scott.
are.
What are you talking about?
Fun, come on.
Hey, I live this stuff and I don't even like it.
Yeah. But that's a good point though too, Scott. So I know we have posting restrictions and guidelines for the finance
Mhm.
committee. Would that apply for this group too?
Yep, this is, you guys are just like any other
Okay.
municipal group, meeting, committee. So yeah, we have to post the meetings, like, and I'll take care of that because it's just as easy for me to help you with the agenda.
Okay.
You know, I don't have a problem with that. You know, Nancy will help me with it, obviously. And so we'll get that part done, get stuff up on the website for you.
Yeah, at least for now while we get our, you know, get up and running. And
Yeah,
then the last,
once Alex gets a little more accustomed to it, it'll become second nature to him.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah. And then
We
the
live
other
and
the
breathe
other
in
question I had, sorry, the other question I had was how would this committee know what we can spend, right? So let's just say we talk to a department, they're very persuasive. We're all like, we have to do everything. How will we know what we can and how much money we have to spend up to?
Yeah, that's where me and Sonia and Sue are gonna come in, and we're gonna work with you at that point. Once things are prioritized, we know what's what, and then we get a better feeling on what what the overall budget is, where our free cash is, what our borrowing ability is, what we've got. You know, you don't necessarily want to borrow for something now if you've got some big projects coming, or maybe you know, I know Sonia can tell us sometimes you might want to group borrowing together on projects. But yeah, that it will be, you know, sort of once we get into it a little bit, and once we have a better idea where our financial position is, then we can have that conversation. But it is important that, like I said, again, to hear from the departments and find out what their priorities are. Like, you know, Johnstone, you know, they have them just come in and let us know, is, you know, the bucket truck, is that, you know, it's a workhorse. They can't not have it. Or, hey, yeah, you know what, we have, you know, we have parts, we can fix it, we can string it out for another year. I don't know those answers, but he does. So they're worth asking.
Marty?
So we're going to use the guidelines from Duxbury as kind of our backbone for this, for the prioritizing. Can I just ask that we have a special section there,
Sure.
Alex, Steve, that we give at least a I don't want to call it a prioritization bump or a special consideration, but I guess that's exactly what it is, to any of the things that can be significantly funded with grants. I feel like we should pay close attention to anything, especially when we're talking about a 3/4 or a 20% coverage from the town, and you know, an outside entity is going to pay significant money via grant. I feel like we should at least discuss that and have a higher priority for that than some of our. You know, obviously that shouldn't. I'm a sucker for guidelines. That shouldn't trump imminent threat to health and safety, but it should certainly get discussed a bit more.
As soon as I get the Word version, like I said, I'm gonna, you know, kind of go over it with Sonia and Sue and wordsmith it, and I'll, you know, we can redline it, throw a line like that. But if there's anything like that you guys think, you know, by all means, let me know, and I'll toss a line in there, and you can look at it and
I love grants.
make a formal vote next time you meet.
I'm a huge grant fan.
Yeah, we really all should be, right? It's free money.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's kind of one thing I regret that, you know, we had to cut out the planner last year, was the fact that is a person that, you know, in his other communities that I was with that had planners, they spent a good amount of time getting grants. You know, we're pretty lucky that we have several people that are looking at it, and the department heads are really good at finding them. But you know, it really certainly is in the future something that we're going to want to think about, is having a good grant writer / planner. That's a finance committee talk, though. That isn't capital planning committee talk.
Yeah, I think I agree, Scott. I'm just wondering if there's any capacity for this group to kind of help out with that too, because, you know, we want to make sure that we're not paying for things that we don't have to pay for.
Well, certainly by encouraging them, the capacity of this group, when you meet with the department heads, and certainly encouraging them and showing that, yeah, you know what, you came in with a grant, we're going to do what we can to help you out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Marty's suggestion.
Yeah,
I think he's talking
that
about.
Makes sense.
I think he's talking about like item number 2, section B, right? That makes sense to have something in there that to help guide us that if we have free money, let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking. That section. Yeah, please.
Yep. Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Joe. All right, awesome. Any more discussions on, get everything here. Let's see, on discussing role and purpose of capital planning committee. Okie dokie. I will go to now set next meeting schedule. So what I know originally when we had done our last meeting, we had talked about doing Thursdays. And Scott, how did you want, or Sue, did you want to go about having meetings and how frequently we want to have them?
Well, I think that it's going to be up to you. I mean, again, you know, you won't always have me, Sue, and Sonia. There won't always be a need for all of us. We'll always be available, or you may always have one of us, but you're certainly going to want to talk to schedule your department. So it's really up to what works best for you folks. I don't know why we stumbled onto Tuesday nights. I don't know. Abington Cable is also, a factor in this and their ability to, cover multiple meetings. I don't know if anybody's already doing Thursday nights or.
Well,
I don't-
oops,
I'm sorry. I don't think anybody's really doing Thursday. I know the school department does Tuesdays, selectmen does Mondays, finance
our
committee
last
does
meeting, I
Wednesdays,
thought-
so.
I thought Abington Cable had a problem with Thursdays, which is why we switched it to Tuesday. I don't know if Matt is listening. But I thought they, for
Yes,
some reason, had a commitment.
I don't remember what led to the change. I would have to double check with the executive director, Kevin. But I know Thursdays usually are pretty light meeting
Yeah,
wise.
it's good.
Does Thursday work for everybody here? So we're all here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's like this, any earlier than this is tough. But
Yeah.
7 o'clock works. Alex, I mean, like like Sue said, we have our school committee meetings on Tuesday, so I just couldn't come those nights if it stayed on Tuesday. But it's usually the last Tuesday of the month, so it's out there ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to recommend we stick to Thursdays. So if everyone is in agreement on that, that'd be wonderful. Let's see, so to the committee, when do we want to have our next meeting?
So if we can get the finalized or the draft policy, maybe even out so we can review it, and then is it possible for us to schedule some people to some departments for Thursday? I think we can maybe bang out both.
Yeah, I would like that a lot.
You want the 11th, right?
Yeah, it sounds aggressive, right? But kind of talking about the timeline, right? We're
Yeah.
already talking about fiscal year 2022. So, getting that sooner rather than later, pounding through February, if that makes sense.
Correct.
So,
Want to be all set and ready to
will,
go by the end of March.
I'll get the Word document out to you. I'll run a sample agenda by Alex, and I'll see who's available. Sue and I will talk to the department heads and
I
see.
was gonna say, yeah, maybe Scott, you can figure out at least two of them that are available. Maybe we
sure we
start with
can.
two and then
Yeah.
we see how it goes and we get a feel for it.
Right. Actually, we should have a list, or maybe the finance already has one. Like standard questions that we ask each of the people so that we're not all over the place when we do meet with them.
yeah, I can say that we don't have standard questions because it's just a matter of we ask the department heads to come in. They walk us through their budget, and if we have the budget ahead of time, and if anything jumps out as it seems
Simpler.
off, we ask questions. I think this would be a lot.
Simpler.
Yeah, simpler.
Well, I think, we talked about grants. We talked about where they got their pricing from. We
Mhm.
talked about the number of quotes or bids, or I don't know. At this point, I know when we used to put things in capital plans, we never really got bids at this point. We just tried to get a number.
Yeah,
close.
so
And-
it wouldn't make sense to get bids before we buy anything. We'll get bids, but it does make sense to get good hard quotes because we want reliable numbers.
Yeah,
And that's
correct.
so, whether you get a quote or a reasonable estimate. The thing is when you do it, if you don't get a really good number, because if you bump it off a year, you're going to have to put an inflation factor on. If you're bumping it off 2 or 3 years, then you got to consider that too.
Do we ask for
Oh.
documentation?
Actually,
Yes.
that's important. It's like,
Yeah.
I've tried to do that for years. It's like, okay, so you're asking for this, and Greg has been a big thorn in my side about sitting at finance committee and saying, oh, wait, I'm looking on my phone right now and we can get a better price. So, yeah, you know it, Greg. That's why I brought you on this committee.
That was while I was in the meeting.
Exactly, while he's sitting in the meeting. So, yeah, when they come in front of you, if they're telling you they need $50,000 for something, you want them to show you what the product is and what the price is when they're sitting in front of you. Because when they're doing it to me, they're saying, oh, this is a number. And I'm always like, okay, well, where's your bids? Oh, I got the bids and this is what it is. And then you're getting there and they're coming in at pretty much those prices. But like Greg says, can we get it for a better price? Can we get a smaller motor? Can we get a a 2-year thing instead of something that's brand new, so those are the questions you're gonna wanna ask, and being a single person myself, asking them for those things and then bringing them to finance committee, I feel like Greg's questions that he's had are very,
Annoying.
no, but I don't know how to answer them because I'm not the department head that's providing those to
Yeah.
you. So now you're gonna have the department head sitting in front of you, and I want your documentation.
And-
I
and
want
I-
your-
You
I
can
could give
set
you
a
guys a-
standard with whatever
okay.
you want. It's up to your committee. I mean, if your standard is, I want, 3 written estimates, or I want, a copy of the state bid list contract that enumerates this item and gives a price on it, tell them, you put it down and we'll send it out there. What we'll do, like I said, when we begin the budget season next year, at the beginning of it, when the notice goes out, there'll be a form on there for, hey, update your plan. If you have any new capital, this is what we need. This is what the committee's going to be looking for. Don't show up without it.
Yeah, like in my very short time on the finance committee, I've already seen a couple of examples where we asked for X and it was like X squared was the actual amount, and why, right? What did we miss in those
What happened?
examples?
Yeah, what went
Yeah, what
wrong? I
happened?
know,
Yeah.
So that's why Scott had this brilliant idea to form this committee, and which we should have had a long time ago. But
No, it's a great idea.
so this is you guys
Brilliant. I
getting
don't
those
know.
answers before it goes to finance committee and before it goes to town meeting. So we're not standing there going, that's just what was given to us.
Nope, makes sense.
And I fully expect that we'll be able to use the meeting room at the golf course next year for these meetings. So
Well, that's what I was going to ask. If we still meet in person. We've got 12 tables up at the Strawberry Valley. We all grab a different table and we're able to get together. But I guess we're a few months off from that.
don't let Marty.
Couldn't we just do it on the green or something?
Well, we were meeting outside. Yeah, we were at the first the putting green, and then we did move inside when it got a little too cold.
It's okay. We'll all wear masks.
Better days are ahead.
All right, cool. All right, so on that note, let's see. So our next meeting was scheduled for February 11th, 7 p.m. Same bat channel, same bat day. I don't think I said that right.
It was close enough. It was close
You
enough.
know what? All right, awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Motion to reorganize.
Thank you, Tim. Right, so on that, I will hear any motion. If there's anything else to be discussed. Hearing none, I will maintain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Second.
Bird.
Right, Tim, and then Joe second. All in favor, say aye.
Hey,
Aye.
have a
Aye.
good night, all.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Awesome. Meeting adjourned.